The island didn't just want us to leave, it wanted us to stay forever. We thought it would be a typical investigation: cameras, equipment, a haunted house. What we found was something far darker. I should have known the moment we saw the fog thick and swallowing everything in its path that we weren't just dealing with an abandoned island. We were dealing with something much, much worse. I'm Jason, a paranormal investigator, and I've been to places that most people would call insane. Abandoned asylums, haunted battlefields, the darkest corners of the world. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared me for what happened when my team set foot on that cursed island. We had heard the stories. People who went there never came back. Those who did came back wrong. We laughed at the warnings. It was just another challenge, another investigation. That was until we arrived, and the island itself seemed to welcome us with a shiver down my spine. The fog rolled in thick, curling around the boat like fingers, and the air tasted strange, like metal and decay. The cliffs rose sharply from the sea, jagged and unforgiving, like the teeth of something ancient, something alive. As we made our way inland, the island felt off in ways I couldn't explain. The trees were twisted, their bark like pale, cracked skin, reaching toward the sky as if trying to escape the land. The wind was wrong, too cold for the warm evening, and too quiet. No birds, no insects, just the sound of our boots on the cracked earth. It was like the island was holding its breath. We set up camp near a dilapidated mansion at the heart of the island, a place that once belonged to a reclusive family long gone. Inside, the air was even colder. The floorboards creaked with every step, and the walls seemed to groan in protest. We were here to investigate, to prove once and for all that the stories were just myths. But as the night crept in, the house began to feel less like a building and more like a living thing, alive, aware, watching us. We started our usual sweep, setting up cameras and recording devices. I was down in the basement when I found it. A small, old doll lying in the middle of the floor, its eyes black as night, stared up at me. For a moment I just stared back, a chill crawling up my spine. But I told myself it was just an old toy, nothing more. The whispers began soon after. At first it was nothing more than a murmur, so faint that I thought it was the wind. But then it grew, low voices calling my name. Jason, Jason. I turned to find my team. They hadn't heard it. They couldn't hear it. I tried to brush it off, but then the house shifted, as though it had noticed me. The temperature plummeted. The walls groaned like they were being stretched to their limit. And then the door slammed shut. I ran to the door, trying to open it, but it wouldn't budge. The floor beneath me seemed to vibrate. The air grew heavy, suffocating. That's when I saw it, the figure, a tall, shadowy form standing at the top of the staircase, its face obscured by darkness. My breath caught in my throat. My heart pounded in my ears. "You shouldn't have come here," the voice whispered, cold and calm but full of malice. I whipped around, but my team was nowhere to be seen. The house was empty. The dolls had multiplied, hundreds of them scattered across the floor, their black eyes staring up at me. The shadows moved, crept closer. I ran, but the house had changed. Hallways that had been there were now gone. The walls seemed to shift, trapping me inside. I could hear my own heartbeat, the whispers getting louder, as if the very walls were pressing in on me. "You belong to us," the voice hissed. I grabbed my phone and dialed the police, my hands shaking. But when they arrived, there was nothing. No sign of Claire, no broken windows, no scratches, no blood, nothing. It was as calm and empty as it had been before. But I knew she was still there. I felt it. It's been weeks since that night, and I still haven't seen her. But I hear her. Late at night, when I'm alone, I can hear her voice, soft and sweet, whispering my name from the darkness, and sometimes I swear I see her. The island was feeding on them, and now it was coming for me. I broke free, running through the mansion, only to find the front door wide open, as though it had been waiting for me. Without thinking, I bolted toward the shore, toward the boat. I didn't stop until the island was just a distant memory, its fog lingering, chasing me in the back of my mind. I don't know if I was the lucky one to escape, or if the island is still waiting for me, for us to return. The whispers haven't stopped. Every night they call my name, and every day I see shadows moving at the edges of my vision. I know one thing for sure: whatever is on that island isn't done with me. If you think you're brave enough to hear more stories about places that shouldn't exist, click on the next video, but be warned, you might not be able to leave them behind.